Britain's Prime Minister is refusing to rule out the possibility of a third national lockdown being imposed after Christmas. Boris Johnson says he's hoping to avoid the measure despite a substantial rise in coronavirus cases since the second lockdown ended. There has been almost 29,000 daily infections over the past 24 hours and a further 489 deaths.
Well, obviously, we're hoping very much that we'll be able to avoid anything like that. But the reality is that the rates of infection have increased very much in the last few weeks. Here, where I am in the northwest, in Bolton, they've actually done a fantastic job in bringing it down. If you look at what people have done in Greater Manchester, really heroic efforts to get the disease under control.
Northern Ireland has followed Wales by imposing a 6-week lockdown on Christmas Day.
The countdown to Christmas isn't anywhere near as busy as it usually is on one of London's most famous shopping streets. Here, Felice Anyan's jewellery business has already suffered because of COVID, and she's worried it could get even worse.
Closing, opening is not giving good communication to customers, so you're losing the customers. We don't have obviously tourists anymore either, so it's quite difficult.
It's a real fear because Northern Ireland's already heading for a 6-week lockdown from Boxing Day.
Hello, how are you doing? Nice to see you. How are you doing?
And the Prime Minister, on a visit to Manchester, wouldn't be drawn on whether England could follow suit.
Obviously, we're hoping very much that we'll be able to avoid anything like that. But the reality is that the rates of infection have increased very much in the last few weeks.
At midnight, 38 million people will be living under the strictest COVID rules. That's nearly 70% of the population. And for a short period over Christmas, up to 3 households will be able to gather under one roof. But what is not clear is how much we'll all have to pay for that short window of enjoyment if COVID infection rates soar in the new year. Labour says the government needs to rethink its Christmas plan.
We're going to have to toughen up how often people can see each other, for how long they can see each other, but not to sit back, to watch the figures go in the wrong direction and say, well, I'm not going to change the rules, but it's over to you to decide how you want to interpret them.
The nightmare after Christmas is that a national lockdown returns.
At the moment, it doesn't look like the tier system is holding the epidemic wave back, unfortunately. So I think we are going to have to look at these measures and perhaps tighten them up. We really will.
To prevent cases from rising in the new year, schools have been told to manage the mass testing of millions of pupils. Now a coalition of education unions have branded the plans undeliverable.
I haven't got the vocabulary to describe the utter despair that they're feeling at the moment with the ineptitude of government. We absolutely support the rollout of mass testing. It should be a really positive moment in the response to the virus and the pandemic in schools. But right at the end of term, when some schools have already gone home, to be told that there's going to be a mass testing programme that still isn't completely defined with no support is no way to run a corner shop, frankly.
With COVID infection rates on the rise and Christmas just around the corner, New Year could mean restrictions are here to stay.